At midnight, a little girl reveals incredible truths that transform a billionaire's life forever. The stillness of the night wrapped around Maplewood like a comforting blanket. Above the diner, 10-year-old Lily stood in her backyard, her bright eyes reflecting the starlit sky, a canvas of shimmering magic. She closed her eyes and made a wish for something extraordinary to happen, for a connection that could change everything. "Maybe I'll meet a real-life fairy," she whispered, the breeze carrying her dreams far and wide. Meanwhile, in his high-rise office, billionaire David Carter peeked through the glass walls at the sprawling city below. He was surrounded by accolades, wealth flowing like a river from his empire, yet an aching emptiness gnawed at his heart. The success he once chased had turned into a suffocating loneliness. Just then, a sudden storm crashed through the city, knocking out the power. Fate, it seemed, had a different plan as his car sputtered to a halt outside the diner, the last beacon of light in a darkened street. As the clock struck midnight, David pushed through the diner's door, greeted by the cozy warmth and the inviting scent of freshly brewed coffee. Inside, he found Lily standing on a stool, trying to reach the cookie jar, her laughter echoing through the empty space. Intrigued, he watched as she clumsily dropped a cookie, her bright smile unwavering. "Hi there," she chirped, her eyes sparkling with excitement as he approached. "What's a little girl like you doing here so late?" he asked, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "I'm helping my mom close up. She works here, you know." Her voice was sweet and innocent, sharing worlds he long forgot. "What about you? Do you eat a lot of cookies?" The genuine question rolled over him like a wave, and an unexpected chuckle escaped his lips. "Not as many as I should." Lily then shared stories of her life, her dreams of becoming an astronaut, the challenges she faced in their tiny apartment, and the deep love she held for her mother. Her words dug through him like a warm knife through cold butter, stirring emotions he had buried under the weight of greed. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lily's innocent insights began peeling back the layers around David's heart. He listened, captivated. For the first time in years, he felt alive not as a businessman but as a man yearning for connection. The flickering neon lights of the diner mirrored the spark Lily ignited within him, forcing him to confront the choices he had made and the daughter he had all but forgotten. Just as her mother called for her from the kitchen, David felt an urgency, a desperate need to hold onto her words. He wanted to change, to find a path back to the values he'd lost. But as Lily raced away, her laughter echoing, the diner door thumped closed behind her, and David was left alone with the remnants of their conversation swirling in the air. The clock ticked, his heart racing, and he knew this encounter could be the beginning of something monumental, if only he could gather the courage to take the first step. Would he seize this chance to redefine his understanding of true wealth? The lingering questions in his heart hung heavy in the air, and the night waited with bated breath for answers yet to come. David sat in the worn diner booth, the chaos outside a stark contrast to the gentle warmth of the flickering lights inside. The smell of coffee lingered in the air, but it was Lily's laughter that echoed in his mind. He could still see her wide, bright eyes as she spoke, full of dreams and innocence. For the first time in so long, he felt a tug at his heart, reminding him of the existence he had sidelined. The pictures of board meetings and contracts faded, replaced by visions of a child reaching for stars. He glanced toward the kitchen, half expecting to see Lily peek around the corner again, her smile illuminating the dim space. But the silence that followed felt heavy. Thoughts invaded his mind, thoughts of his own daughter, Emma, whom he barely knew, lost in the whirlwind of his relentless pursuit of success. He pulled out his phone, his fingers hovering over her contact name. But what would he say? "Hey Emma, it's your dad. Mind if we grab a coffee and talk?" The words felt foreign, awkward even. How did one even begin to bridge such a vast distance? He sighed, putting his phone back in his pocket. The ache in his chest grew, reminding him that time was slipping away, like sand through his fingers. "Excuse me, sir?" A voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts. It was the waitress, wiping her hands on a rag, a curious smile on her face. "You all right? You got that look like you just lost your last dollar." David managed to smile in return, though it felt brittle, just thinking, "That's all." She raised an eyebrow, her intuition sharp. "About what? Life, business, or little girls trying to reach cookies?" He chuckled softly, "More about the little girls, actually. The connections we make with kids. They see the world differently," she mused. "It's refreshing, I senti it. All the noise in our heads fades away when they talk." "Yes, it's just what I needed," he admitted. "I feel like I've lost touch with what really matters." "Then maybe it's time to make some changes?" she suggested, her smile inviting and warm. David nodded, already stripped of his armor by Lily's simple presence. But the weight of his decisions lingered. He stood up, taking a deep breath. "Can you give me a minute? I think I need to go for a walk." "Of course, take your time," she said, giving him a knowing nod. He stepped outside into the cool night air, the storm now just a distant rumble. He walked aimlessly, the city alive around him, unaware of the battles waged within him. But with each step, the realization seeped deeper. He had to reconnect with Emma. There was a spark of hope igniting in his chest, urging him to act, to not let another moment slip away. His phone buzzed in his pocket again, and he pulled it out. It was a message from his assistant, an update about a meeting. But he dismissed it, focusing instead on the path ahead of him. He finally turned back toward the diner, but something caught his eye, a small bookshop next door with its lights still on. The sign in the window read "Storytime Tonight." He hesitated. The thoughts of children's stories washed over him, stirring memories of building forts and reading to Emma when she was younger. The thought warmed his heart. Could this be the start of something new? A chance to rebuild a bridge he thought had been burned? He stepped closer, his hand resting on the doorknob as anticipation bubbled within him. Just then, he heard her voice again, the sweet innocence of Lily ringing in his ears. This was it. The transformation he desired was through reconnecting with the legacy he could still build. But as he pushed the door open, he felt a catch in his throat. What if Emma didn't want to reconnect? What if he was too late? The moment of truth approached, and David found himself standing at the crossroads of choice and fate, ready to discover where the path would lead him. As he took a step inside, he wondered if the story unfolding would bring him closer or push him further away from the daughter he loved. Would he have the courage to turn this page? The buzzer above the door jangled as David stepped into the cozy bookshop. Warm light spilled from antique lamps, casting a golden glow over shelves teeming with stories waiting to be told. The air smelled of old pages, and a soft melody played from hidden speakers, creating an atmosphere that felt both inviting and safe. As his eyes adjusted, he saw a small gathering in the back room. A circle of children, each with rapt attention, sat cross-legged on a colorful rug. A woman, perhaps in her late 30s, was animatedly reading from a book, her voice rising and falling like waves. David paused, instinctively drawn to the scene. He watched the children's faces light up with every twist and turn of the tale, and for a moment, he felt as if he were stepping back in time, to a place that felt familiar. He shuffled forward, trying to blend into the background. But as he took a seat at the edge of the gathering, he noticed Lily sitting among the children, her head bobbing enthusiastically, eyes gleaming with joy. A rush of warmth flooded through him, propelling him into an unexpected memory, reading with Emma on rainy afternoons, their laughter mingling with the rhythmic patter of droplets on the windowpane. As the story concluded, the readers encouraged attendees to ask questions. A little boy raised his hand, his face scrunched in deep thought. What happens next? Do the characters get a happy ending? The woman smiled, her eyes sparkling with kindness. That's up to you. Stories don't have to end the way they begin. Sometimes they can change if we imagine a different path. David's heart raced at her words. What if he could change his story? He felt the weight of his regrets shift. The thought flickered in his mind, was reconnecting with Emma still possible? Did she, like those children, hold the power to rewrite their narrative? Suddenly, the woman broke away from the children and walked toward David, as if she sensed the turmoil stirring within him. "You look like you've got a story of your own," she said softly, her voice warm and inviting. "What brings you in tonight?" His breath caught in his throat. Could he share his truth with a stranger? "I'm searching for my daughter. I haven't been there for her." She nodded slowly, understanding glimmering in her eyes. "It's never too late. Kids are capable of forgiving and believing in second chances. Show her you care, that you're willing to put in the effort." He swallowed hard, pulled back from the edge of despair. This moment felt pivotal, almost electric. "But what if she doesn't want to see me? Then you'll keep trying. Just don't give up," she replied, her gaze steady and encouraging. "You may be surprised by how much she longs for that connection." David clenched his fists, a newfound determination awakening within him. He had to reach out. Emma deserved to know him, to see how much he wanted to mend their fractured relationship. As he turned to leave, preparing to step back into the reality that awaited him, he overheard Lily giggle at a joke another child made. He turned back, watching her innocence, her hope. She was a reminder of what love could look like, what could be rebuilt. "Are you going to tell her a story?" the woman asked, glancing at where Lily was. David's heart swelled with possibility. "Maybe I can. Maybe that's where the journey begins." As he stepped back outside, the chill of the night felt revitalizing. He pulled out his phone, ready to type a message to Emma. But just before he hit send, he hesitated. What if she didn't want to reconnect? What if rebuilding that bridge felt too daunting? With one deep breath, he looked up at the starry sky. Every star glowing like a promise, a chance to start anew. Could he build the courage he needed? The tension mounted as he stared at the screen. He closed his eyes, ready to make the leap into the unknown. What awaited him on the other side? Would he find Emma open and ready to embrace the possibility of their renewed connection? Or would old wounds hold them apart? He pressed send and held his breath, waiting to see what story unfolded next. David stared at his phone, his heart hammering like a drum. Each second felt like an eternity. Did he dare hope for a response? A gentle breeze whispered through the street, carrying the scent of freshly brewed coffee and blooming flowers. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing thoughts, but anticipation clawed at him. Moments later, the screen lit up. A message appeared, sending a jolt through his body. He opened it cautiously. "Dad? Is that really you?" His heart leaped and then sank. The uncertainty that had always lingered around their estranged relationship rushed back. What tone did she use? Could a simple really meant skepticism? His thumb hovered over the screen, mind worrying what would he say back? "Yes, it's me. I'm sorry for everything," he finally typed, his hands trembling slightly. He felt both the weight of his past and the glimmer of hope buried beneath. Would it be enough? Moments turned into minutes, anxiety wrapping around him. The warm glow of the bookshop behind him felt like a sanctuary. It had sparked something within him, the tiny flame of possibility that maybe this wasn't just a lost opportunity, but the chance for something beautiful. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. "Why now?" The words hung in the air, sharp and challenging. David bit his lip, feeling a deep sense of longing mixed with dread. This wasn't just a question. It was an invitation to explore his intentions further. He took a moment to compose himself before responding. "Because I've changed. I've been thinking about you every day, and I want to try." He hit send, hope and fear swirling together. Would she believe him? Would she let him in? As he waited for a reply, David's thoughts drifted to the first time he held Emma. She was so small, her tiny fingers wrapping around his. He had so many dreams for her, but life had taken him down a different path. But he could fight to redefine that path. Another buzz pulled him out of his reverie. "I don't know, Dad. It's been a long time." David's throat tightened. "I understand. But I want to be there for you now. Can we meet?" Silence followed, interrupted only by the distant hum of traffic and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. The uncertainty of her answer loomed heavy. Just then, the woman from the bookshop emerged, sensing his troubles. She gave him an encouraging nod as she handed a carefully wrapped book to a passing customer. There was a warmth in her smile that told him he wasn't alone in this moment. David returned his gaze to his phone, nerves dancing in his stomach. Surprisingly, he found some comfort in the unpredictability. Every story holds twists, and maybe now was the time for a new chapter, a moment for growth, understanding, and forgiveness. Finally, the phone pinged again, pulling him further into the coil of hope and apprehension. I guess we could talk. How about Saturday? A wave of emotion rushed through him, a mix of relief and excitement. Yes, I'll make it special, I promise. His foot tapped restlessly on the pavement. What would he say? How could he convey all the love he'd buried under layers of guilt and regret? But as the thoughts raced, another flicker of warmth sparked. She was willing to listen. David took a deep breath, staring into the azure sky fading into a darker hue. A sense of clarity began to settle within him. This was only the beginning, a chance to unfold layers of their history together. Was he ready to face everything he had avoided for so long? The moment felt monumental, like standing on the brink of a cliff just before taking a leap. Could he truly bridge the gap that time had carved between them? As he made his way home, filled with mixed emotions, he felt different, lighter. A newly ignited hope drifted through him. Maybe, just maybe, this story was meant to have its twists and he was ready to embrace whatever came next. But as he turned the corner, a sense of unease crept in. What if Saturday brought more questions than answers? What if the distance carved by years remained unbridgeable? In that moment he wondered if he has the strength to face Emma's truth, whatever it may be. Saturday arrived, and the morning sun peeked through David's window, promising warmth and light. Yet, the brightness felt heavy on his shoulders, shadowed by his anxiety. He fidgeted as he prepared for their meeting, scanning his wardrobe as if the perfect outfit could somehow mend the years of absence between them. He opted for a simple blue shirt, the color of the sky. He hoped it would reflect the depth of his emotion, the sincerity he wanted to convey. He brewed a pot of coffee, trying to mask the jitteriness in his stomach with the familiar aroma, each drip echoing his racing heart. As the hours crept forward, every tick of the clock echoed in his mind like a countdown. What would he say first? How could he erase the pain of missed birthdays, forgotten hugs, and silent phone calls? His thoughts danced in a whirlwind, swirling between fear and hope. Finally, the time came. David stepped outside, taking a moment to breathe, feeling the air brush against his face like a soft, reassuring hand. He began walking toward the cafe, each step firming his resolve. The streets felt both welcoming and foreign, familiar yet so distant from the man he was now. When he arrived, a rush of emotions cascaded over him. Was he really ready for this? The cafe had an easy bustle, people lost in their conversations and laughter. But amidst it all, he barely registered anything beyond the looming knowledge that his daughter was waiting inside. He spotted her at a corner table, her back turned. Glancing over, a pang of emotion struck him. She had grown. She was no longer the toddler he remembered. The subtle shift in her posture revealed an unease as she flicked her eyes toward the door, searching faces. "Emma," he said, approaching her cautiously. She turned, surprise mingled with wariness flashing across her face. Her expression was a complex tapestry of curiosity and guarded affection. "Dad, you really came?" David nodded, swallowing hard, feeling the weight of every unspoken word between them. He settled into the chair opposite her, their silence laden with so much that neither of them knew how to articulate. This was the moment, the crossroads. After a long pause, Emma broke the silence. "Why now? Why did you choose this moment?" His heart raced. The earnestness in her voice was heavy with years of unanswered questions. "Because I've changed. I see things differently now. I've thought about you every day. All I want is a chance to show you I can be better." Her gaze fell to the table, fingers tracing patterns in the wood. But what does that mean? Can you change who you are? That piercing question struck him deep. Was it even possible to change the past? Or was he simply fooling himself? I can't change what has happened, he replied honestly, but I want to be part of your life now. That's all I ask. She looked up, uncertainty decorating her features, but beneath it was a flicker of something warmer. I don't know if I can trust you. Then let me earn it, he implored. Give me a chance. Let me show you that I'm here to stay. Their conversation flowed awkwardly at first, but gradually, the walls began to soften. They talked about school, about music, about the ordinary world they had missed sharing together. As the minutes slipped by, laughs began to push through the tension, a tentative bridge growing between them. Yet, a lingering question gnawed at him. He needed to know what had shaped her these years apart, what had molded Emma into the young woman before him. Would she share it? Or would fear shield her heart just as it had shielded his? As he looked into her eyes, a spark ignited. Something unspoken lingered. Whatever it was, David could sense it was the key to unlocking the deeper connection he craved. But just as he gathered the courage to ask, Emma shifted in her seat, her expression turning serious. "There's something you need to know, Dad," she said quietly, her voice trembling slightly. "It's about Mom and why I couldn't reach out to you before." David's breath caught. What revelation loomed ahead? What truth could change everything? He leaned in, heart racing, as he braced himself for what would come next. Emma took a deep breath, her eyes flickering with emotion. "I don't know how to say this, but Mom got really sick last year. It was bad, Dad, and I didn't want you to see her that way." David felt the blood rush from his face. He remembered the vibrant woman he had fallen in love with, and now the thought of her in pain twisted something deep inside him. "I had no idea," he whispered, struggling to keep his voice steady. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Emma looked down again, her fingers fumbling with an empty coffee cup. "It's complicated. Mom didn't want you involved. She thought it would be better for me if you stayed away." The pain behind her words was palpable. "Better for you?" David felt anger bubbling up. "What about me? I'm your dad. I should have been there, but you weren't." Emma shot back, fire igniting in her eyes. "You left. You made that choice. And now you're sitting here, thinking you can just waltz back in and everything is fine?" David's heart sank, her words striking like arrows. She was right. Convenience had been his escape. He fought back tears of regret, knowing this wasn't easy for her either. "I never wanted to leave you. I was scared. I thought I was doing the right thing by staying away." "Scared?" Emma laughed bitterly. "Being scared doesn't get you a pass. I had to grow up with that fear, Dad. All the missed calls, the dad-shaped hole inside of me. How can I trust you now?" Her raw honesty stung. David sighed, realizing this was only the beginning of a long, tough road. "Emma, I wish I could take back all the hurt. I can't change the past, but I promise to be here for you now. I'll support you whatever you need." "That's what Mom used to say too," she replied, her voice softening a bit. "But promises don't mean much if they're not kept." Hope flickered deep within him, stoked by the chance that this conversation could lead to healing. "I want to build trust, Emma. I want you to know I'm serious about being part of your life. We can start over one step at a time." She looked at him, uncertainty still lingering. "What if I can't forgive you? What if I can't forget? Then let me help you bear your hurt," he said, this time with newfound strength. "Life is too precious to live with shadows hanging over us. I'll make it worth it, I promise." There was a moment when their gazes locked, a fragile understanding bridging the distance. Emma's expression shifted, vulnerability glimmering in her eyes. "Maybe it's too soon, but if Mom's sick, I don't want to face this alone. I need you to meet her." David's heart leapt, fear mixing with excitement. "You want me to meet your mom?" "I think it's time," she admitted softly. "But you have to understand, it won't be easy. I can't promise you she'll welcome you with open arms." "I'm not asking for an easy road," David murmured. "I'm just asking for a chance." Emma nodded slowly, the weight of her decision visible in her furrowed brow. "Okay. But first, I need to know you're not going to walk away again. I want tea." I'm here for the long haul. He breathed deeply, determination coursing through him. But a thought nagged at him. How would he face his past with Emma's mother? Would she see the change he felt in himself? The world outside the cafe buzzed with energy, unaware of the seismic shifts within their small table. David's mind raced with possibilities what awaited them on this newly forged path. But his first step seemed clear now. Let us take this one day at a time, Emma said, a hint of warmth creeping into her voice. I'll let you know when the time's right. But as they sat diagonally, the laughter and chatter around them faded, and one question loomed larger than the rest. How would he confront the memories of what once was and what it could be now? As they moved cautiously through their first awkward moments of reconciliation, another thought settled uncomfortably in the air. David could sense the silence that hung between them, thick with almost tangible anticipation. What if I'm not ready to hear what she has to say? He mused, his own heart racing with fear, and as uncertainty pierced through the air, they both understood. This was only the beginning of a journey laden with truth, revelations, and the hope for a new beginning. It was a few days later when Emma sent David a short text. Can we talk? Mom wants to see you. The words sent a jolt of anxiety through him. He stared at his phone, the implications sinking in. He couldn't shake the nervous flutter in his gut. Coming face to face with his past felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into an uncertain abyss. They decided to meet at the hospital, a neutral ground steeped in both vulnerability and hope. As David parked near the entrance, he couldn't help but notice the hustle of nurses, doctors, and families moving about their own burdens. Each person was a reminder of struggle, pain, and, sometimes, recovery. It made his own anxieties feel less significant by comparison. Taking a deep breath, he stepped inside, the sterile smell and bright lights hitting him right away. It was a stark reminder of the realities of life. He found Emma in the waiting area, her brow knitted with concern. She looked up as he approached, her eyes reflecting a storm of emotions. Thanks for coming, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Of course, he said, trying to mask the tightness in his own throat. The fear of what lay ahead was palpable. How is she? Emma shrugged, her thin shoulders rising and falling like the weight of the world rested on them. She's hanging in there. The doctors say we don't really know. But, Dad, I just need you to be there. That's all. Right, David replied. I'll be there. Promise. He realized, as they walked down the corridor, that this would be the ultimate test of his resolve. Would he truly measure up to the promises he had made to Emma? They reached the hospital room, and David's heart hammered. The beige walls felt confining, like the room itself knew the weight of secrets untold. He glanced at Emma, who nodded. The faint beeping of machines accompanied their entry. Samantha lay on the bed, frail and weary, but a soft smile lit up her face upon seeing them. Emma, she whispered, her voice raspy like dry leaves. And David. She struggled to sit up more, and the sight of her so fragile pulled at his heartstrings. Hey, Sam, he said, his voice faltering as the old familiarity mixed with the weight of their history. Look at you. You're still as handsome as ever, she teased lightly, a charm that felt like a ghost of their younger years. David wanted to laugh, to ease the tension, but he couldn't shake the reality of her condition. Then, a weighty silence enveloped them. Emma stepped forward, her hand resting on her mother's. Mom, I know, Samantha interrupted gently. Emma told me you both needed to talk. Her gaze shifted to David, who felt the years of silence rippling between them like a chasm. What do you want from me? He asked, caution threading through his words. He was terrified of the reply, terrified of opening old wounds that had barely begun to heal. David, Samantha said, her voice steadying. We need to face the truth. All of it. For Emma's sake. And maybe for ours too. David nodded, feeling the tension build around them. He wanted to reach out, to tell her how sorry he was for everything, but the words tangled within him. Emma's grip tightened on her mother's hand, a lifebuoy amidst the waves of uncertainty. Mom, Emma said slowly, I want us to work through this. I don't want to lose you again. To misunderstandings, to the past. David ached for his daughter's heart, fragile but fierce. It was a battle that had begun long before he arrived. Samantha's eyes glistened with unshed tears. You won't lose me, sweetheart. But we have to confront those shadows together. You both deserve that. As David watched the interplay between mother and daughter, he felt an unexpected surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could begin to find a way forward together. But as the weighty atmosphere settled in the room, another question loomed larger than ever. Could he find the courage to confront the deepest regrets of his past? The world outside continued its relentless pace, but inside this room, the air was thick with possibility and unspoken words. David braced for the challenge ahead, aware that their journey was only just beginning. Are you ready for this? Emma asked, her voice faint but steady, a flicker of determination across her features. With a heavy heart yet shining resolve, David nodded, knowing that what they were about to unearth might change everything. Could it open the doors to forgiveness? Or would the weight of the past crush them all over again? David inhaled deeply, summoning his courage as he pulled up a chair next to Samantha's bed. The machines beeped softly around them, a rhythm that seemed to echo the anxious beat of his heart. He caught Emma's eye, and in that split second, they shared an understanding. They were all in this together. Where do we even start? Emma's voice trembled. The vulnerability etched across her face made David wish he could protect her from all the pain they had endured. Samantha cleared her throat, settling back against her pillows. Maybe we start with the truth, she said gently, her eyes flitting between David and Emma. Those years they were filled with things left unsaid. I don't want to leave any more unspoken words between us. David felt his stomach drop. What do you mean? His voice barely rose above a whisper, as if fearing that raising it could unleash long-hidden secrets. Samantha let out a sigh, then her gaze grew distant. The truth is, I made mistakes. Some of them I can't take back. But I let you both bear the burden of my choices. David clenched his fists, the anger and hurt bubbling just beneath the surface. You don't have to shoulder all that blame. We all messed up, Sam. The wall of regret he had built over the years felt shaky at that moment. No, David. I need you to listen. Your leaving changed things. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but I want you to know what your absence did. Emma shifted closer to her mother, a protective instinct kicking in. Mom, if we're going to work through this, we can't just focus on the past. We have to figure out how to move forward. Samantha nodded, her eyes glistening with emotion. You're right, but sometimes moving forward means facing what we've been avoiding. I want you both to understand why I pushed you away. The weight of those words settled heavily in the air. David's gut twisted. And why is that? With a ragged breath, Samantha attempted to explain. I thought I was protecting you by keeping my fears and struggles to myself. I didn't want you to see how weak I felt. I thought it would break you. Instead it broke us, David muttered, the truth hitting like a jolt of electricity. Emma glanced at her mother, searching for reassurance. Maybe, if we can confront this together, we can discover what healing looks like. Samantha's face brightened ever so slightly. Yes, I want us to find that healing, to understand each other. But I need you to promise me something if we get through this. Let us make time for one another. No more living in shadows. David let her words sink in, his heart clenching with emotion. There was so much history between them, so much pain to confront. Could they truly rise above it? A moment of silence enveloped them, each lost in their thoughts. David couldn't shake the feeling of being caught in a web of hopes and fears. Then, just as he was about to speak, a sudden commotion outside the room broke the tension. What's that? Emma asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and concern. David turned to look, and an unsettling feeling crept up his spine. He could sense that something was about to shift, something beyond their fragile moment of truth. Let us focus on this conversation, Samantha urged, but there was an edge of fear in her voice. As the noise grew closer, David's heartbeat quickened. This was their moment to reclaim their past, but outside forces threatened to pull them apart. What awaited them outside these walls? And how would it challenge their fragile resolve? The truth felt tantalizingly within reach. But would it be enough to hold them together when so much uncertainty loomed? David turned, his heart racing as the ruckus outside the hospital room intensified. He could hear hurried footsteps and muffled voices blending into a chaotic medley that sent a ripple of anxiety through him. He needed to stay focused. This was a fragile moment, and yet the urgency outside threatened to fracture it all. "Stay focused," he said, his tone firm but softened by the tremor in his voice. He turned back to Samantha, hoping to draw strength from her. "We need to keep talking." Emma squeezed her mother's hand lightly, lending a silent promise of support. "Mom, whatever's happening out there, we need to be here for each other." Samantha looked at them, her eyes shimmering like pools reflecting a storm. "If only I could shield you both from everything bad, but I can't." Her voice wavered, but there was a resolute spark beneath her vulnerability. "Let whatever's out there come," David said. "We're in this together now." But just as he spoke, the door burst open. A nurse rushed in, her face pale and strained. "We need to stabilize her vitals, now." Panic washed over David's chest like an icy wave. He instinctively moved to stand in front of Samantha, feeling the protective instinct surge within him. "Is she okay?" he demanded, his throat dry. The nurse glanced between him and Samantha, her urgency blending with compassion. "We're doing everything we can, but we need space." "Wait, what's happening?" Emma stepped forward, her voice raising in protest as tears pooled in her eyes. "Please," the nurse said urgently, "I need you to trust me. We must keep her calm. We're going to take care of her." Samantha's gaze anchored on David. "It's all right. Trust them." Her voice, though soft, held an undeniable edge of bravery. He reluctantly stepped aside, his heart pounding as he watched the scene unfold. The nurse and a doctor entered, their movements swift and purposeful. As they worked, David latched onto Samantha's eyes. They had so much to resolve. Time felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Everything around him turned into a blur, the machines humming and beeping, each sound cranking the tension higher. Amidst the chaos, Samantha's calming presence grounded him. There was so much left to say, so many bridges yet to build. But now they were faced with a more immediate challenge. As the team stabilized Samantha, David felt a sinking dread settle in his stomach. What if we lose her? The thought paralyzed him momentarily. Could he bear to hear those words in more than just a whisper? At that moment, Emma's breath hitched, echoing his fears. "No, that can't happen," she cried out, her earlier strength wavering. Samantha's voice cut through their panic, strong yet tender. "I'm right here. I won't go anywhere. We will find a way." She looked between her daughter and David, each word a heartfelt vow that hung in the air, refusing to fade. The frenzy in the room eventually settled, the team finishing their work with resolute efficiency. As the doctors stepped back and monitored the machines, the atmosphere shifted. Silence fell, amplifying the tension and despair hanging in the air. David reached for Samantha's hand, their fingers intertwining. "Promise me, Sam. We will get through this. We'll talk about everything." He could feel the warmth of her grasp fighting against the icy terror that coursed through his veins. She nodded, and for an eternity, they locked eyes. In that moment, he knew she felt the weight of everything they had lost and the hope of what they might still salvage. But as the monitoring beeped steadily in the background, a new voice broke through, a small yet resolute childlike tone that pulled their attention. "Excuse me, I need to talk to you." David turned to see a little girl with wide eyes and tousled hair standing in the doorway, her expression serious. "Who are you?" he asked, bewildered. "I know things," she said, her voice unwavering. "You're going to need to listen." And just like that, with her unexpected intrusion, the air thickened again with possibilities. What did this little girl know that could change everything? The little girl stood in the doorway, her bright eyes shining with an intensity that felt both foreign and profound. David found himself drawn to her, a curious spark igniting within him. "What do you mean?" he asked, bewilderment mingling with a flicker of hope. "I know why you're here, and I know what you need to do," the girl said, her tone steady and confident. It felt as if she had stepped from a storybook, a clever child resembling the heroes he used to read about with Emma. David glanced at Samantha and Emma, whose expressions mirrored his own confusion. "This isn't the right time for games," he started to say, but the determination glimmering in her eyes stopped him. "Please listen," she urged. "You're all scared, and it's okay to feel that. But if you want to help your mom, you need to share what's in your hearts. Truth is a powerful thing, can break down walls." David felt the weight of her words settle on his chest, deepening his resolve. The moments spent in fear of losing Samantha, the regrets of past estrangement, and the fragile hope of rebuilding with Emma all came crashing together. The little girl's presence felt like a reminder that their journey hinged on honesty. "What do you know about us?" Emma prompted, her voice trembling but laced with curiosity. "I know that love sometimes gets lost in fear," the girl said simply. "But it can always be found again, just like you're trying to do. You have the power to shape your own story." In that moment, David realized that the girl reminded him of Lily, the 10-year-old he had encountered in the diner. It was a full circle of recognition. Life had a way of presenting unexpected guides. Samantha looked at the little girl, her eyes shimmering with a familiar warmth. "What can we do? How can we find that love again?" "Start by speaking freely. No more holding things in. That's the first step to healing." The girl's gaze moved around the room, settling firmly on David. "Go ahead. Tell her everything you regret. You've been too quiet for too long." David took a deep breath, feeling the lump in his throat. "Sam, I didn't just leave you. I walked away from my family, from my responsibilities. I thought I was protecting both of you by staying away, but that was the biggest mistake of my life. I'm sorry. I wish I would been there. I thought success was everything, but it led me to loneliness. I just want to make it right." The sincerity of his words tumbled out, emotions flowing like a river flowing over rocks, jagged yet beautiful in its rawness. Samantha's face softened as she absorbed his honesty, the shadows in her eyes flickering with understanding. "David," she began, her voice shaky, "it hurt to lose you, but I see now that we both suffered. I should have trusted you more. I thought you wouldn't care." Her voice cracked with the weight of her admission. "But I did care, I always did." A delicate truce seemed to form between them. The remnants of the love they had once shared glimmered like a distant star, flickering to life. Emma watched closely, the enormity of the moment settling over her like a comforting blanket. "I don't want to be stuck in the past anymore. I just want things to change," she said quietly. "I want a chance to forgive and hope." The little girl's eyes sparkled, her smile infectious. "And you will. Just keep talking. Let the love come back. You've got the magic in you." In that moment, David realized acceptance was the path forward. He could open his heart to Emma, to Samantha, to the possibilities ahead. "I promise to be here for you both," he said, looking at his daughter. "I want to be the dad you deserve. And Sam, I want to help us rebuild what we've lost." Their faces lit up with a mixture of hope and courage, ready to embrace their truth, shedding doubt like a snake's skin. The struggle had forged them in a crucible of pain, but they still had time to redefine themselves, to write a new ending. The little girl stepped back, a satisfied grin on her face. "I think you're going to be okay. I'll see you around." As she skipped out of the room, David felt a quiet strength emerge within him. The invisible burdens they carried began to lift as their hearts opened to reconciliation. There would be hard days ahead, but they wouldn't face it alone. Their courage mingled with the air, a spirit of unyielding hope. Yes, they could shape a new narrative and tackle the shadows together. And just like that, in the hushed pain and unfurling possibilities, the journey of healing began anew, one step at a time, one truth at a time. As they shared smiles, tears, and quiet understanding, it felt as though the world outside paused just for them. A moment marked in time, a beautiful and hopeful promise of family, reborn. Now, as you reflect on this incredible transformation, take a moment to act. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Tell us how this story made you feel. Comment your reactions down below. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference.